All right, we are here sitting, talking with one Luigi Primo.
Pardon the interruption.
Luigi Primo!
Look at this Luigi Primo.
He's Luigi Primo.
Luigi, I got to ask you a question. I know this is usually Greg's deal, but are you the best pizza chef?
You asking me a very good question, Eric. The truth is that I am the best pizza chef, but also one thing that people neglect to realize, with the respect to our friend Greg, I'm the best wrestler. So I'm the best pizza chef and the best wrestler. And I think where I really excel is at combining those two things.
Well, look, I'd have to agree with you that coming off of a big win in a pizza death match over Gregory Iron.
Oh God, we're going to talk about this.
I mean, look, believe me, I was the biggest Gregory Iron / Iron Curtain supporter for years and years and years. And now we do this podcast together and everybody thinks everything's hunky-dory. But look, I think I found somebody else who, is very suitable to be my favorite professional wrestler of all time.
Are you proud of yourself, Luigi? That you won the pizza death match in Texas. I mean, you want to talk about this? You want to just get this all out front? Get it all out in the open?
Let's get it all out of there. Let's just the face of the facts. We were going to have a match. I had already respected your work and was ready to do a normal good match, but you had to bring in some weird pizza toppings and ideas, such as the Tostinos and the nacho with cheese and a pineapple. Why would you do that other than to antagonize me and to anger me? That's why I had to do what I did. It's not because I didn't like you.
Hey, look. You thought you had the advantage with the pizza deathmatch situation. I just took it up a notch and wanted to go Taipei pizza death, okay? And I figured, what's going to be this guy's biggest weakness? How can I get inside this guy's head? And I thought to myself, oh, I know, pineapple. And it got in your head, didn't it?
Pineapple is a very controversial topic, and I have a lot to say about it that I'm sure we'll get into it later.
Oh, no. Let's get into it right now. I mean, I don't mind.
Are you trying to make the man uncomfortable right on our podcast here?
I don't want to make him uncomfortable.
Are you trying to antagonize him?
Let me just to tell you a little story about a pineapple. When I was just a little paisano, my parents called me to the dinner table. Yeah. And this was a ritual we did every night. It was called a pizza dinner tonight. That's what we called it. And we'd have a good pizza at the table, and we'd say our special prayer, bless us, O Lord, and these are thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord, amen. The classic Italian prayer at the table. We would say it, and then we'd get the pizza. But at this time, something was different on that night. I looked down on my pizza, and there was, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a fibrous wedge. And I could smell the sour smell. And I picked up the pizza, and I put it in my mouth. And that's when I tasted the taste of a pineapple.
You know what? A lot of people have
I think that says it all about how I feel about a pineapple.
Well, a lot of people have said in the past that Gregory Iron's been with a lot of wenches.
Okay, that has nothing to do with anything happening here. Look,
he said something about a wench.
Yeah, I heard him.
You've been with a lot of pineapples.
A wedge, like a wedge shape.
Oh, the wedge. Okay.
Listen, look, I don't mind pineapple. You think it's a horrible topping. I mean, I feel like we can get along. We can get back on the same page here. We can call truce. What do you think? Let's just call truce, at least for this interview.
I think through that match, I was so concerned in proving the respect for pizza and defending myself and the honor of all Italian foods. But by the end of it, after feeling the comradeship of a battle with you, I respected you even more. So I think that's a very apropos that we would have that a truce.
He said amor. That's love.
That's like a language of my home country.
Yeah, I've been studying.
I appreciate that. Listen, we're gonna call this interview right down the middle. I'm gonna try to be unbiased, and now that we're already on the subject of bad pineapple on pizza, what other toppings do you find offensive on pizza, and why?
I have one specific I want to ask you. Go ahead, though, with your answer first.
So I would say I like toppings that are traditional and a normal good toppings for a pizza. If a topping requires you to think too much about where it is and what it came from, it probably doesn't belong on a pizza. Some good examples are apple slices, pear wedges, almonds, maybe a goat cheese. That's not the kind of cheese you want on a pizza. Some people in a restaurant, they might have sharpening tools or a hardware, and when they're making the pizza, they might get a metal filings or a nuts and a bolts on a pizza, so that when people bite into it, they swallow the metal and it hurts their esophagus.
Greg, you get into a lot of nuts, right?
So anything that's a metal doesn't belong on a pizza, in my opinion. That's just what I think.
What would you say about Chuck E. Cheese pizza? Have you heard the controversy about Chuck E. Cheese pizza? The rumor that apparently the pizza gets reused. They don't finish the pizza, they take it to the back, and then they serve it to other customers. Have you heard about this, and what are your thoughts on that situation?
So Pasquale and we know each other from the older country. We actually used to work together when we were just the kids at the Asema restaurant in Naples, just for a little while. As we came to America, we both kind of chose our different paths. He chose to do the thing that would have made him the most money. Me, I chose to preserve my traditional pizza and follow my heart. So what he's done has a lot of compromises in his business practices and his cooking practices. And as some of those is reusing a pizza, which is an abomination. And regardless of our history together, if I saw Pasquale right now, he would get a piece of my mind, and he'd also get a good suplex.
Hey, I got a question here. Can I ask you this real quick? Okay. So how do you feel, Luigi Primo, best pizza chef, about sardines on a pizza? Now, there was a wrestler back in the 80s, right, in early 90s, Bushwhacker Luke, who used to love sardines. Okay, he followed me one time at a wrestling show. And I hate his guts ever since then. But he likes to put sardines on a pizza. How do you
feel? I would say, as far as taste-wise, it's not that far from anchovies. So
the taste of the taste of Aaron, or the taste of the sardines?
Oh, well, both.
Luke licked my head. He gave me a good head licking.
Was a wonderful man. God bless the Bushwhacker.
Listen, well, you don't even have to answer that question. What I want to ask you about, one more thing before we talk more about your career as a wrestler.
No, I got more pizza questions.
Well, we'll talk about more pizza questions, but
it's always about you.
Have you heard about the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, and what are your thoughts on that?
It was a huge problem back in, 2017 when that was an issue?
2016, 2017, yes.
2016, 2017. In the restaurant I worked at, we had these T-shirts with the skeletons on them. Every pizza restaurant has a very kind of a metal imagery, like, skulls, or maybe a rat with a knife, things like that. It's very common in the pizza scene, probably because the people that are working them are in bands or tattoo artists, because they have jobs where they can't make a full-time of money, so they have to make a pizza. That's the pizza industry. So there's a lot of skulls and skeletons. During a Pizzagate conspiracy times, who was that, a writer? Micah Cernovich?
I believe so, yeah.
He started promoting it, and not only that, he called out the fact that pizza places had a violent imagery and said that somehow conflates us with the Satanism. And because of that, my business partner that was doing the business, he made us take those shirt down because he was a coward. And also, we had to make good patrols around the restaurant for people that came in and tried to shoot us out of a house and a home. We saw a couple people sneaking around the back, and I had chased them off. Later, I found out it was the people from a Thai kitchen trying to do a food trade.
Oh.
But I still I'm proud of what I did.
So how long was your restaurant doing human trafficking?
I'm sorry, one more time?
How long was your restaurant doing human trafficking?
We weren't doing a human trafficking. I keep saying this. I let those kids sleep in the walk-in freezer because they asked me. We didn't take them. I thought I was doing them a favor. They
Fair.
said they run away from their home. Now I see it was a mistake. That's what I get for trying to help someone.
Well, you're a good soul. Let's talk a little bit about how you ended up in Texas. I mean, you were born in Italy, correct? And then at some point, your family made the decision to come over to America. So tell me the story. How does the journey start in Italy? How do you get into the pizza making? And what makes you want to come to Texas?
That's a great question, Greg. So my grandmother and my grandfather was from Genoa. My grandmother was from Naples. They met and they had my father. They moved to America, and so my mother, I don't know a lot about her, but I think she was from America. And my father and her met in New Jersey, and they went back to the older country to live there for a while. And then they came back to America when I was maybe about in my mid-20s. So by then I had been working in a restaurant and training in a wrestling in the older country. I tried to work in various different shops around these great states. And then finally I ended up in Austin, Texas, where I opened my pizza shop there and I began training in Austin. And at the end of that time, yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the journey to Austin, I'm sure was it was a tough one, probably readjusting to American life and culture. Yeah.
It's true. In Italy, there's a lot more places to get a pizza and to get a spaghetti, but not so much in Texas.
A lot of barbecue in Texas.
There's a lot of barbecue in Texas.
They have pizzas that are shaped kind of in a U with the meat and the cheese in the middle, and you eat like this. It's a different way of doing a pizza, but I've learned to respect it. Now, everybody's different.
Everyone is different. Now, you're cooking at your restaurant. You're making a living off pizza. Where does your love for pro wrestling come into play, and how do you decide this is something I want to do on the side? And eventually, as we know now, you're making a great living off of professional wrestling.
That's right. So when I was making a pizza, obviously I didn't have a lot of money to go out and buy other foods. And why would I want to anyway? Because I have access to a good pizza in my restaurant. So at that time, I was also training at a wrestling. I met someone in Texas who was helping me refine my already considerable wrestling skills, named Jay Sirius, a.k.a. Jojo Bravo. So during that time, I was training with him and making hundreds of pizzas to strengthen my shoulders in my restaurant. And also, I had to be very careful of my diet. So some people say you have to eat no pizza every day. I say you eat 1 to 2 pizzas every day, but you just change the composition. So I had a good pizza that would have a certain amount of macros. I would just weigh the dough and count out the carbohydrates and the calories and use a ricotta cheese, which is a good kind of a cheese in addition to a mozzarella because it has a good protein content. And of course, the pepperonis and the sausage. And then you eat 1 or 2 of those every day. And every now and then you have to drink some Metamucil for a fiber. It's just a fact of life. But you don't put it on a pizza. To just countermand anybody who's going to ask you that question, does a Metamucil belong on a pizza? The answer is a no.
Okay, so let me get this right. Let me get this right, Luigi. Eat 1 to 2 pizzas every day?
Every day.
Okay, I've been working on that lately and drinking beer with it. Is that okay or no?
That's fine. Absolutely. If that's what you are
into. I told you I love this guy.
Now listen,
there is a kind of like a liquid crust.
Yeah. I like it.
You talk about training by tossing pizza dough to stay in shape. I mean, is there other exercises or like a set training regimen that you had besides tossing the pizza dough that involves pizza?
Well, when you're working in a restaurant, the whole thing is an athletic experience. You're using the pizza peel to take the pizza out of the oven. You're pulling it with your back. You're turning and you're putting it. You do that motion over and over so many times. You have to get your posture correct, and you have to do the emotions mechanically correct, or you're going to get a good shoulder problems. So you're doing that. You're on your feet all day. You're picking up boxes and moving them around. You're cutting up things. Those are some good ways to stay in shape. And then, of course, when you make the dough in the bowl, you lift up the 100-pound mixing bowl, you plop it on the counter, you pull out the dough, and then you're kneading the dough.
Yeah,
That's right. You're kneading the dough for a long time. And that gets your hands are really tired, and it conditions your forearms are pretty good.
Now, so you're training.
And that's what I learned. That's how I learned, Greg, that in wrestling, you can give someone a good snapmare, and then just as I needed the dough in my restaurant, so too do I need the trapezius muscles of my opponent. And it really messes up their nerves.
You should need Greg in the head.
So all that makes sense. Here's my question. This is a very serious question, Luigi. You're training to be a wrestler. You're training stuff in the ring. You're training outside the ring with your pizza. You're making pizza. At the same time, you're a father. How do you take care of your child while all this is going on? If you would like to talk about your child, first of all, what is the name of your child?
So a lot of people might not know this, but years ago, when I was a much younger man in Italy, I tried to make something other than a pizza, one at a time. And that was a spaghetti.
Oh.
And when I finished it, I'm ashamed to admit this now. When I finished it, I didn't like it the way it came out, so I dumped it in the gutter. Years later, I guess you could call him a golem or maybe a homunculus, a living being made of spaghetti, found his way back to me in America and said I was his father and that I abandoned him when he was young. I did not believe it. And in fact, I said some terrible, hurtful things to him. And it culminated in, as you would imagine, a good wrestling match. And by the end of it, and I have to admit that he was physically strong, much stronger than me. So by the end of it, he had me down, and I gave him a good steel chair, and I said, Pasta Man, because that's what his name was, as well as a description for what he looked like and was. I said, Pasta Man, I'm going to give you some fatherly advice. Now that you've beaten me, you needed to finish me off because nobody gives you a breaks in this world. My father didn't give me a break, so you are going to break my legs and be a man. But he showed me a mercy. And that was kind of a change for me because I learned that if somebody hurts you, you don't necessarily have to have a revenge. That's not, I still kind of have a trouble processing that, and I still usually will take a revenge. But out of that moment, I learned that I guess compassion existed in the world. It's the first time I saw it.
So even though it didn't happen, are you telling me that you think it's okay if he wants to for a son to finish off a father?
It depends on the circumstances and
circumcision?
The law, frankly.
Abiding by the law is very important. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
This sounds like, for people that haven't seen your work in the ring, I mean, this sounds like classic Vince versus Shane McMahon back at the end of the Attitude Era.
No. Yeah. This sounds like Vince versus Stephanie.
Well,
because I think he wanted her to finish him.
That got a little weird back at that storyline. But hey, listen.
Where are we at?
We're getting off topic here. Did that feud occur in Pizza World Wrestling?
So it occurred in a Party World Wrestling. And that was back in, I want to say, 2015,
So
about 5 years ago.
you've been at this for a little while now.
Yeah, that's right. I started working with a Party World of Wrestling, and in 2015, we do shows out of a place called the Fourth Tap, a brewing co-op in Austin. It's a brewery. They have a wrestling ring set up in there, and every show has a different theme. Like, we were about to do a show that was a rodeo themed, like a Cowboys themed.
Yeah.
So there was a cactuses and a horses and a skeletons everywhere, because every show is also a skeleton theme in addition to whatever else it is. We've had shows under the sea and in a space, in a dinosaur times.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, and
I've seen some of the footage from Party World Wrestling, and you guys draw quite the crowd. In fact, from what I understand, it's the biggest crowd that any wrestling show draws in Texas.
I would say next to the I would say as far as independent shows, not like a Raw or a SmackDown or AEW probably are going to draw more.
Sure.
But there's been some shows that are like, I'm not sure if I should say, because I don't know if the City of Code Compliance is listening, but quite a few, and it feels really good because everybody is a very very appreciative and very rowdy, and so it makes it a very easy when everybody is screaming and going nuts. And really, that's what it keeps it going, is because of these people are having fun and are saying, please continue to do this. That makes it a very easy, because otherwise doing any kind of performance or art is very hard.
Absolutely. Now, when we
Even
talk
if
about,
you like it.
yeah, no, when we talk about Party World Wrestling, what would you compare it to for someone that's never seen the product? Because it strikes me as like there are elements definitely of Chikara, which has always been a big influence on the independent scene. Do I get that correct, or do you think that there's like a variety of elements to describe the promotion?
Yeah, I would say it's like you said, has the strong character base and sort of a crazy comic book a style of a Chikara. I would describe it as absurdist comedy or wrestling, or maybe surrealist or wrestling, because it's generally a comedy based, but not always. Sometimes it's a pretty heart-wrenching, but it's always a very stupid, and always a very weird.
Okay, fair. Now, when you talk about, obviously you've had a, plethora of matches at Party World Wrestling, but what are some of the other more notable promotions you've worked for, and some of the more notable names? And like, what are you doing as far as, at some point, do you plan on expanding outside of your general region? Because I feel like a lot of people are catching wind of Luigi Primo, and they want to see you out in the Midwest and down in the South. So what are your plans for the future?
So when I was wrestling, my goal was, and it still is, to just increase my skill and to have a fun and to do a good show in the ring and to make a good pizza. So I never really had aspirations to travel. However, talking to you and Danahausen, you both have really kind of encouraged me, because I did a lot of traveling when I was younger. I assumed that a part of my life was over. But talking to you guys and having you encourage me, that makes me think that maybe I am going to keep traveling again. And in fact, right before the pandemic hit, I had, I had 3 or so dates booked for the WrestleMania weekend in Florida that I was going to go wrestle on, and we were going to hang out and wrestle and whatnot. And I had some people I was talking to about going to New York in June, maybe. But that all kind of went by the wayside with the pandemic. But one thing I've decided, regardless of what the world is like when this is over, one thing is I'm not going to lose my faith in a pizza, and I'm not going to lose my faith in a wrestling, and I'm not going to lose my faith in myself. I haven't put too much work into it to say that like it's over. whatever it takes, whenever it can be done safely, I have to keep it going and take everything I can for a Luigi.
That's very inspiring, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I think you're an incredible talent. I think when this thing gets back to normal in the world, you're going to do great things. So we might talk about some more stuff involving your career and everything. And I want people to know all they can about Luigi Primo, and not just from this podcast, but if you haven't seen Luigi's work, you definitely need to look him up on YouTube and see some of the stuff he's done in the past. But if you don't mind, would you mind answering some fan questions and perhaps some questions from Aaron himself?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, Aaron, what would you like to ask Luigi Primo?
All right, it's been said. Oh, look at.
Wow, he's right back at tossing the dough.
Yeah. Hey,
I do it when I need to keep my hands busy.
I got you.
right. I've been doing that the whole interview. So as far as pizza goes, okay, let me tell you. My first ex-wife, okay, she liked a peanut butter and jelly pizza. Should I have known the first time that she ordered that it was going to end in divorce?
You know,
can you tell that right away by what a person orders?
When you think about somebody as far as like a long-term relationship, it's all about a trust. Can I trust in this person?
Right, right.
And, you know, beyond that, compatibility, interests, that is less important. So the main thing is a trust. So I would say if somebody orders an abomination on their pizza and it disgraces the concept of a pizza, that might be an indicator that trust might not be able to develop. So I hope, does that answer your question?
Oh, definitely. So I should have never got with this woman, and no wonder, you know, why it ended horribly in me losing thousands and thousands of dollars and half of my property. Thank you. I should have thanked you earlier.
I don't want to reduce your entire life's experience to a pizza.
No, I think everything goes back to pizza.
I think it does too. That's right. That's what I call a pizza. I call a pizza. I have a sign. I have a sign in my restaurant, and it's a circle, and it's a pizza, and around the circle is an arrow, and also a train track, and it says in the middle it says the circle of a life.
Yes.
And then behind it is a Simba from the Lion King, and he's eating the pizza. And then in a thought bubble, he's saying, "I can't wait to be a king." ... because I'm gonna have a good pizza.
Wow, that's a lot on one side.
It's a big side.
So I've got a lot of questions here from Facebook from one of our biggest listeners, Ryan, and he wants to know a few things. First and foremost, his question, well, I feel like he didn't phrase it properly. Any plans to open a pizzeria? Obviously, you already have a pizzeria in Texas. If you'd like to inform everyone where they can get the pizza from you in Texas, that would be great. But I guess, do you have any plans of expanding your pizzeria outside of Texas? If you can answer that question first.
So as far as expansion goes, I want to be careful that I don't make the mistake that a Pasquale did from a Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. You know, he expanded it very quickly, and he had compromised. And maybe he's making money. That's all good. That's fine. But me, my life, I've found that money doesn't make me as happy as following my heart and keeping to my ideals. So I will never do things like a reuse a pizza or put a rat droppings on a pizza as a topping or put a gunpowder or a wood shavings on my pizza. Some of people might have made those sacrifices, but I will not. So any expansion I do, it has to be with a full confidence that I can deliver on a quality, pizza quality. So I would say I'm just a one-man and I have some employees, but, you know, scaling up with the quality takes a long time. And I don't think I'm ready for it yet. Will the future hold it? We'll see.
Is Pasta Man one of your employees? I mean, you guys are on good terms now, right?
Yes, we've had our ups and downs. He's finishing college. Pasta Man, luckily when I met Pasta Man, he was actually fully grown. his growth is at a rate that's different than a normal of beings, I guess you would say, because he's certainly not a human. Well, he's a person. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, so I think as far as I can tell, he's like a 10 years old, but he's already like basically a grown as far as his mental development and his physical development. So he's a finished college. He's a very smart, but I guess you would say he was kind of like on the spectrum where he's a very like genius, but as some things he doesn't understand. Like if you hit someone as hard as you can, they will get a hurt, which is good in wrestling. But if you're on a subway, or petting an animal, you got to be careful with that. So anyway, that's all to say. His mental gifts have let him finish a college. So he's finishing a college right now. When he's back, he'll do some shifts at the restaurant. But as I say, I have to be careful that he doesn't, destroy equipment, because he will.
Luigi, I gotta ask you, with this pasta man, is he? You said fully grown. Is he al dente?
I would say I'm very proud of him. And there are things that I wish he would have listened to me. You can't tell young people some of things. They have to go out and make mistakes for themselves. You say, don't put all that oregano on your toppings. If you put oregano on it, you're not going to be able to go to sleep. And what do? They stay up all night so they can't get their test done.
Can I ask you?
Make their own mistakes. You say, don't hang out with Johnny because he's got a hemp necklace and you're going to do drugs with him. And they got to make their own mistakes. So that, again, they miss their classes because they're out,
Doing oregano. I got you. Hey, let me ask you, let's go back real quick to the Chuck E. Cheese. So Chuck E. Cheese mascot, it's a rat. So what we're saying is they have rats at the pizza shop, and that's not good. But what about, what are your thoughts and concerns on rats in the wrestling scene?
You asked me a very good question, Eric. So, when I'm at a wrestling show, I always am concerned with the hygiene. So if I see a rat scurrying around or a possum or maybe a raccoon, I think it's important to tell the custodian. You get the building's number and you call the custodian, because the promoter, they can't do anything about it. They're probably going to get a bit. One thing I know is promoters do not know how to handle raccoons.
Well, we're talking about rats here, and maybe that's why they used to call me the custodian in wrestling, because I always took care of all the rats, and especially the dirtiest ones. I'm not proud of it, but that's what I did.
With a metal cage, with a mechanism, and you put a cat food, haul it out.
Yeah, if I was lucky.
Yeah, and then you trap them, and then you release them in the wild. It's not a metaphor.
Hey, we get a question from Matthew on Facebook who asks, when you order a cheese pizza, do you ask for cheese or do you say regular? What's the preference?
That's a great question. It depends on where I'm ordering from. For instance, if I'm here, I really would only say, give me a regular at a place that I'm a good friends with, Backdraft a Pizzeria. If I tell them I want a regular, they'll understand what I mean. But basically, I'm just doing that to show that I know about a pizza.
I gotcha.
So I can say, give me a cheese pizza or give me a plain cheesy pizza. If I'm in New Jersey and I'm at Frank's Original, they would look at you funny if you said a cheese. So I'd say a regular there.
Gabe wants to know on Facebook, what's your stance on eating pizza with ranch dressing?
Some people are in fraternities or 16 years old or just haven't gone through a hard divorce.
Been there.
Like I was saying, everybody's different.
So if you go through a divorce, you fucking order ranch?
I think it depends generally on how a sad or ignorant someone is.
Okay, because I've been through many divorces. Never ordered ranch though. So thank God that I've got my pizza dignity.
That's to be admired when you can overcome adversity and say, hey, I'm not going to put a curdle de cauda product on this beautiful Italian delicacy. That's what you can hang your hat on and be proud of.
Hanging it.
Jim Richardson wants to know.
Not putting a ranch on a pizza is something you can be proud of.
That's a bitch move.
Jim Richardson on Facebook wants to know, jalapenos or triple extra jalapenos?
I like jalapenos on a pizza. I had an ulcer not long ago, so I can't do a triple right now.
Oh no, that's not good. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's bad. It makes it very easy to lose weight.
Okay.
Can I ask the next question?
Sure, go ahead.
Second one. Okay. I have two friends in the world. One is Gregory, which he's barely.
Oh, I thought it was Sharpie.
And the other friend is podcast superstar Jerry, who is on, he's a regular guest of the show. Okay, so with these individuals, Gregory, his favorite pizza comes from a place called Little Caesars. Corporate bullshit. Podcast superstar Jerry, his favorite pizza comes from a bullshit corporate place called Pizza Hut. What do you think about either of those places? Is that bad news for everybody? Because it's not real pizza, right?
I mean, last night I had a bad dream that I had a Pizza Hut.
Yes.
And it tasted like a slime.
Yes, it did. I know it did.
But when you decide to eat it there, you're only hurting yourself. As for a Little Caesars, one thing I find interesting is that a lot of people don't look at all the atrocities that the Caesars of the ancient Rome committed, such as Nero, who condemned the death of so many of his own citizens, as well as burned his whole city to the ground. So maybe we should be thinking about that next time we decided to honor that place.
All right, I just shit my pants a little because I was laughing so hard. Let me give you one more, okay? When I started off booking wrestling shows in the late 90s, the first attraction I booked were the FBI from ECW. They were the full-blooded Italians. I got them backstage, and I said, since you guys are full-blooded Italians, what is your favorite Italian pizzeria? They responded with Domino's. Your thoughts?
They were just joking. They were just having some fun.
Okay. They were working me because I was a mark. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Go ahead, Greg.
I know that those guys are all very Italian, especially a wildfire Tommy Ray.
That's the one. He's the one that said Domino's. He said Domino's. We gonna order Domino's.
Okay. Hey, Ryan Egan wants to know, what do you think of Macaulay Culkin's band, The Pizza Underground?
I would say they're fine. They've taken some pretty normal songs, and in my opinion, it made them better by making them about a pizza. If I had my way, every song would be about a pizza. When I listen to a music, generally in my brain, I replace every couple of words with a pizza, and it helps it digest mentally.
Can you give me an example?
Let's just see. What's a good song?
Well,
I can't think of many
very
songs.
popular in wrestling. One of the most famous wrestling video packages of all time would be My Way by Limp Bizkit. So perhaps could you take My Way by Limp Bizkit and turn it into something that is more pizza themed?
Which one is it at?
Are you kidding me? You don't know My Way?
I probably would know it if I heard it.
The one for like check out my melody. Just one more fight. I see you're trying to make me sing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You don't know Limp Bizkit?
My pizza and hot pizza. Something like that.
What about Rollin'? Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
Let's see.
You don't know anything about lamb, do you?
Rolling the dough. Rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. Come on. Rolling and rolling and rolling. The pizza dough.
I like it.
Way better than what he originally planned.
Now, here's a big, powerful question, and I don't know what you're going to say to this. Ryan wants to know on Facebook, if pizza and Italian food didn't exist, and I know you don't want to live in a world like that, what would you eat and why?
I would have probably eat various and nutritive gruels, such as, shredded wheat with the whey protein is sprinkled on the top, or maybe a Metamucil mixed with chicken or broth. Just stuff that satisfies the basics of my dietary requirements, because taste is completely gone apparently, and joy is no longer in the world.
If your taste ends up disappearing now, you might have corona.
Oh no!
Yeah, you don't want that.
Can I interject for a second? Luigi, I didn't want to get too personal on this, but my father, he's 70 years old, and he just recently moved back, into my house, and so we're living together, and he only eats oatmeal 3 meals a day, okay, except for Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sunday afternoons, when he wants to order triple pepperoni pizza with double cheese. Please, is that a good thing?
I mean, it sounds like he's pretty much getting all the dietary requirements he needs. The one thing I would say, just have some Metamucil. Not on your pizza. Again, just having a cup with the water, that gets the fiber going. Or psyllium husks are another one.
He's been adding beans to his diet. Is that okay? Or
The pizza or just
no. Just a bowl of beans in the morning.
Yeah, sure. That's a fine. Maybe he's English.
Yeah. His ancestors come from England.
Well, there you go.
You're the man. It's so good.
Luigi, what are your thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and do you have a favorite?
Ooh, see, one thing I really relate to about the Teenage Mutant and Ninja Turtles is that they both a practice of martial arts and a love of pizza.
Okay.
Much like myself and you.
Me?
So I would say my favorite is probably, wow, I've never thought of this one before. Probably a Raphael.
That's my favorite.
Really? He doesn't take a guff. If somebody disrespects him, he's gonna make sure they know not to. I mean, some people say his weapon is to a shorter range. In the video games, he always has a weird spin.
They say that about Greg too. His weapon is too short range.
Okay. He's being very disrespectful. Look, Luigi, I think with our mutual love of Raphael the Ninja Turtle, we just became best friends.
I love to hear this. Can I manage you guys one time?
Wow. I think so. I think we are now best friends, and Eric is the manager of our friendship, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, my God. This is great. Aaron, do you have anything else you want to ask?
Now that we're all on like a different level here, everybody's getting along. You guys seem to have squashed the beef or squashed the sausage as it is.
Sure.
I'm very excited about this new budding romance of friendship that's happening right now. And I couldn't be happier. So to celebrate, Gregory ordered a pizza.
Oh.
And he'd like to share with virtually with you, Luigi. I'll be right back. They're here now.
Let's do it. I don't know how this is gonna work.
I don't know. I didn't actually order the pizza, but oh, you secretly ordered a pizza. He's got Little Caesars. Are you okay with this?
Oh.
Delivery.
Huh. Well, I mean, I have some ancestors who are from that area, and the fact that they were massacred, by so many Caesars, it kind of puts me off on my appetite. frankly.
You ruined this, Aaron.
What?
You ruined our friendship, man.
I mean, this is what they said. I just want you to know.
Maybe we should take it slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, luckily,
We'll have a lot to
Gregory
learn
told me.
about each other.
Gregory told me you may be a little offended by that. So he ordered a second pizza, which he brought here in his vehicle today.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Maybe
That's not true. I didn't do that. I don't know what he's talking
Something I guess I got to warm up in the oven.
Luigi, I did not. He's holding pizza rolls. I did not bring these pizza rolls. That wasn't my idea.
Is Totino's legitimate
You know
Italian?
what I think is happening? I don't think this is a Greg's fault. I think, like all the great managers, Eric is trying to stir up a trouble.
You're stirring up trouble, man. Why are you doing
I
that?
think he's stirring up some trouble.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, then I'll just put in the main thing he brought here today for us to enjoy while we're watching Monday Night Raw and speaking with you.
That wasn't me. I did not get those bagel bites. I did
When
not.
pizza is on a bagel, the bagel has committed the crime. That's what I always say.
Hey, look, listen. Let's get back on track here. Let's wrap this up. I ask everyone this, and this is the most important question. Luigi, you've had an incredible career, and there's so much more in your future. But more importantly, what inspires you, my friend?
Wow. That's a tougher question. I would say passionate artists and performers, people who you kind of see how much they are loving what they're doing, and their physical bodies kind of disappear, and all that's left is their power that comes from embracing their art. I see that in people like, watching, all the Owen matches, or my friend Jay Sirius. Thinking about those things really move me and excite me and make me proud to do the wrestles.
That's awesome. That's very inspiring. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I feel like, we didn't even hit the tip of the iceberg. I think there's another episode in this at some point.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about wrestling, but yes, it was absolutely a pleasure. Really appreciate you taking the time with Greg and Eric. Had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. And if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
I'm at best pizza chef on Twitter.
It's very hard to say things without A's.
Yes, it's I can't add via but I can add via A. I'm working on it. My English is still a little tough.
Not so good. But
How you
pizza
say?
chef on Twitter.
Let's wrap it up.
Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll talk and see each other again soon.
Yes, thank you very much. See you guys later. I'm Luigi Primo.
Make a best pizza.